here we are with the unique, the einzige, l'unico Rolando Villazón, with us from Paris, correct? Neuilly?
Yes, correct, Emmanuel.
Yes. And Rolando is a world famous star tenor, but he's also, more importantly, a musician, an artist, a writer, a journalist, a lover of life and philosophy, and also a TV celebrity. I mean, how do you define yourself, Rolando? We can still see you, but
yeah, the light went off when you said
celebrity. I know, you are the star.
Something went wrong.
Yeah, you are the star and the lights goes out and we see only you. How do you define yourself, if you have to define yourself?
I guess, let me try to fix the light. Here we go. I will define myself as somebody who doesn't want to define himself. I think definitions already put you in a box, you know, and then the moment you are in that box, you kind of try to fulfill the expectations of whatever you decided the definition of yourself was. And I think that puts limits in who you are. So
it does. And I forgot one of your activities, which is stage director, for instance. And the fact you are this amazing tenor artist, but that you have an intellectual life, contributes to your qualities as a stage director. What is then, let me rephrase this, what is the activity you enjoy the most, or you have enjoyed the most so far among all your activities?
It is easy to answer because it's the one that I am doing. When I'm staging, I'm staging it's the one that takes more time. When I'm in the process of staging, I wake up at 8 in the morning and I go to bed at 3 or 4 in the morning. Because, you know, this lamp is playing games with me.
I think we can see you, so don't worry about the lamp. Let it have comment. Yeah.
Because I think, you know, I mean, it depends on the activity, but I really love all of them. When I'm preparing a program for the festival, I'm artistic director of the Mozart Week, the Mozart Woche. Really, I'm completely focused on that. If it's 1 hour of work a day, this is the most exciting thing I'm doing. And then I go and prepare the new role that I'm preparing. And it's so amazing to be dealing with the voice, with the text, with the style, with the phrasing. And yeah, I mean, as I say, when I'm a stage director, it's very time consuming, energy consuming. And it's almost the only thing I can do because you are completely 100%. And you know that as a conductor, of course, you need to make all those ideas come through the great art and sometimes the limitations, the natural limitations of the people you are working with. And so that is a big challenge. And as a stage director also, you need to make your idea work, and not everything you thought was going to work works. And sometimes it works better thanks to the input of the energy and the creativity of the people you are working with. And so you need to be all the time flexible, adapting, and still in the creative mode, understanding what is the best way to go for the opera. And that's when you're a stage director. When you're a singer, when I'm a singer, it's a more solitary work on that sense. I mean, you need to make sure that you can give whatever the musical director and the stage director have in mind. So I need to make sure that I can make your musical ideas come to life again with my capacities and with my limitations. And then it's a way of finding where are we going to express ourselves with the universe you are creating. The same with the stage director. So the singer is more of an internal work and you don't see yourself. The stage director is responsible of watching everything. And so, I mean, the question was not that. The question was, I really enjoyed everything. When I sit down and start writing a page and put Brahms in the background, and I hear Brahms, and I fill my soul with this incredible volcano of music and energy, and the words start to fly, and I love it, and I know that half of it is going to go to the trash, but it doesn't matter, because it's just this flow and this energy. It's beautiful. And when I'm in the radio and I present my programs, it's really what I'm doing. That's the best.
So one of the things that put all of these together, or that is in common in all of those activity, is really strong creativity and generosity, and pulling into yourself to connect to the word, and vice versa, and that exchange. And you are a pure explosion of art and creativity, and that's what made you always, and makes you always on stage a singer actor that is absolutely unique. And we worked together a long time ago. We did concerts in Paris with Anna, and I mean, these concerts were extraordinary. And I think one of them, you were kind of, or we were fighting a cold, and I said, "Whoa, Rolando is fighting a cold," and then bam, you arrived there with the booster and the reserve energy, and that sheer life that was the power of nature that was going through you was in a way more important than the music, the voice, the house that was there. All of a sudden, it was a name to the power of nature and creativity. And this is something that has always impressed me in you. What was your first connection with you as an artist? And did you always know you had in you something that was so important you had to share it with other people, or was it something you had no choice that just fell on you?
No, I think most of us are discovered. I think I mean, I will speak about myself. I enjoyed singing, I enjoyed writing, I enjoyed also learning poetry, and I mean, I enjoy art. But it was a gift to myself, and I closed the door, and I kept, I could spend hours ever since I remember when I was 11, 10, 12, singing whatever it was. At the beginning, it was Jungle Book and Baloo. Busca lo más vital, no más lo que es necesidad, no más, y olvídate de la preocupación. And then it was the Man of La Mancha, to dream the impossible dream. And then songs, love songs that came from John Denver and Plácido Domingo, and Silvio Rodriguez, beautiful songs from Latin America, etc. And I just loved the experience of singing this music, saying these words through music and through the singing voice. I enjoyed writing. I was in love, and I kept writing poems. I also wrote sonnets. They are all horrible, but I was very excited about the precision of it, the rhymes, and all the metric was correct.
Yeah.
But really, it was in lit. I mean, I'm above all a reader. I love to read, and that's something that has given me so much in my life, more than anything else, literature. But to answer the question, I don't think I ever felt I'm going to do this, or this is my vocation. I actually didn't. I wanted to study philosophy or psychology, or I was already teaching, and I thought maybe I'm going to be a teacher the rest of my life, which is an extraordinary, wonderful job and profession and vocation. And then you are discovered, and then a baritone comes and says you can sing, and then I start singing. And then
so how were you discovered? I mean, for the people who don't know the story, can you tell us how you were discovered, please?
I mean, there's two stories. The very first
the one that's the most juicy, or invent a third one. Who cares? There are some people, they do so many interviews, they answer the same question very differently each time. So give us the one you want today.
No. What I'm saying is there's two discoveries. The first discovery, I was very young. I was 12 or 13, and I was singing in the shower, as I always did. And
in the shower,
my neighbors had a party, and one of the guests was the director of a performing arts academy, And he heard that voice from the shower, came, knock at the door. My mother opened the door and said, yeah, yeah, is somebody singing there? I'm sorry, I will tell him to shut up. Maybe it's too late. No, no, no. We're holding auditions. I'm the director of this academy, Performing Arts Academy. Would he want to come and audition and see? And so I went and I worked there for a little bit over a year. It was not opera, it was theater, it was ballet, it was jazz dancing, modern dancing, and it was singing, but with another more belting singing, etc. But it was amazing because I discovered the power of being a performer, and I love that. The second discovery came years later when I was around 18, and in my school I sang Granada and Impossible Dream and songs I had learned just like this, amateurish. And in the audience, there was Arturo Nieto, a baritone, who listened to me, came to me and said, you know, you could work as an opera singer. And I started taking lessons with him.
Wow. And did you love singing and you had that nature that goes on stage, but did you know opera at all then, or you knew only musicals?
I knew almost no musicals, only Man of La Mancha.
Right.
And I think Oklahoma. And when we say, hey, we're always saying, you're going by Oklahoma, or something like that. And in opera, not at all. In fact, the very first opera I saw live was already when I was in the conservatory, and it was Tosca. When I came to this baritone, Arturo Nieto, I knew all these love songs that Plácido sang in his LPs. Perhaps love is like a resting place, and even yesterday all my troubles seem so far away.
I hear Plácido actually the way you sing it. Yeah, yeah.
And then he said, "Okay, but have you heard Plácido in this?" And he took out a live recording from Eluce Van le Stelle from Monterrey. And I listened to that and I'm like, oh, wow, what is that? And he started to explain me, this is opera. And that's when it all started. So I knew absolutely nothing. All I knew is that I thought I did not like it. I had, in this first academy, I had a teacher, a theater teacher, who said, opera is boring. Opera, how can opera singers act? It's impossible. I don't like opera. It's a terrible art form. And so and he was a great teacher. He was wrong in that, but he was a great teacher. But of course, because he was my teacher, I thought, of course, opera is not good. And so I decided that opera was not good until I met this teacher, and I started to go inside of the extraordinary, wonderful art form. And I knew that.
And then how did you understand your voice actually could lead you to a career? It could be your life, and it made sense in your soul and in your heart. I mean, did that click progressively, or it was love at first sight? And how? I mean, at one point you have to explore the voice and train the voice. So how was that progression?
Yeah, it was interesting because, again, I love the freedom of singing. I love the physical experience of singing, and the spiritual experience of singing. Then when I started taking lessons, I was less excited about the hard work it needed to sing the things I eventually wanted to sing. And actually, I stopped the first period of lessons because I thought, this is really hard work. The reason I sing is for passion, for love. It's just a hobby. I want to be free. I don't want to be thinking of all these technical aspects that are so difficult to achieve. And so I left it. And I came back a couple of years later when I entered into the conservatory. I went back to Arturo Nieto, and then I took another teacher in the conservatory. And then I was kind of, I made a choice and I made a decision. Yes, I want this. I want to explore if this is going to be my life. And if I want to try it, I need to try it with everything that comes with it, with all the effort and with all the teaching and with all the sacrifice, etc. And that's when it started. But to be honest, I had no idea if this was going to be the path. In fact, already a couple of years into my studies, there was a big workshop organized by Sivam, and Pepita Serrano, who helps young singers in Mexico, and lots of singers and teachers and coaches from the Metropolitan Opera came to Mexico. And one of them actually told me, you know, you should explore writing, drawing, or acting, but singing is not your life. You should quit singing.
Wow. Wow.
So, it was not clear where I was going. I mean, when I first came to the States to do auditions for young artist programs, I was rejected from all of them. And so I worked again one more year. And then I said, okay, let's see what happens with this hard work. And then eventually I was taken in the Pittsburgh Opera, in the Young Artist Program, and in the Merola program.
Right. And but then your voice has a unique, that's what makes you a star. There is a unique sound, there is a unique quality that when you hear Rolando Villazón singing anything, you say, oh, that's Rolando, you know, like it's Luciano, it's Placido and that kind of things. But there is also, as I said earlier, this incredible commitment to the sound that is connected to a feeling and to a certain physicality. And this kind of energy you have in this technique you have is connected also to a total commitment to the role itself. How do you manage all those things not to explode on stage or when you rehearse? I mean, did you have also a learning curve with that to channel the energy?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I would be lying if I say it was always perfectly on control and I know what I was doing. This is not the case, and I don't think this should be the case, because I think one needs to experience for oneself where the limits lie and where it needs to be shaped, where it needs to be.
Yeah, you need to stretch in order to be able to contract too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know, the most important thing is to know that once you are a professional singer, you're performing for somebody else. So, of course, it's wonderful if you can feel the emotions and all that. This is incredible, but it not always is like this. The most important thing is that people out there cry and laugh and feel everything. So, in that sense, I believe that opera singers are closer to a dancer than to an actor, or at least to a Stanislavski actor.
Right.
Stanislavski technique demands you to go in your emotions and your memories, and you.
Right.
At least for a singer, it's very complicated, and it's actually very dangerous.
Yes.
You need to be free inside. You need to be an instrument. And Yoshio Ida, great stage director, has beautiful books, The Invisible Actor. To me, that's great for an opera singer. Kabuki, no theater. This is closer to an opera singer, where everything inside is clean and ready just for the instrument to be functional.
Yes.
And then everything else is about the choreography you put together during the rehearsals. And by choreography, I mean something very serious and very profound. But the moment a hand moves can make people cry. It's how you rehearse. If it's just a movement, then it's nothing. But if the movement has this intensity, this direction, this seriousness, and this work behind, it's going to be fantastic. And then you can let the voice work freely as an instrument and use it in an artistic way. You see, I mean, I'm sure with so many talks you've had with singers, we all are athletes. We are athletes first. The athlete needs to be ready to go out and do the job. But that's only the beginning, because then comes the artist. And of course, a lot is already won, a lot is already achieved if you're a great athlete. And a lot of people can do great careers by only being great athletes. And this is great. But then you go to another level when you add the artist to it. And when the athlete is just the instrument for the artist to create roles and to express the emotions of the music you have been giving.
Right. I think this is a very eloquent way of dealing with the paradox of us as artists in general, and not only as actor, as musician, but also you know, as a conductor, I have to deal with the same issue. And so I was more of a Stanislavski school musician. That means, oh my God, the despair in the Ninth Symphony of Mahler, it's me, and I'm going to just feel it, and it's going to be there projected. And the brainy part of me, you know, I studied philosophy and so on, is just, you know, it's about the structure, and it's about exactly this Brechtian distance of, it's not about what I feel, it's about what the people are going to feel from the text, and in a certain integrity and a certain technique, including the energy I project in the text. What I find, though, this is not such a dialectical opposition. That is that a lot of artists are hiding between this notion of just projecting, but there is nothing inside them that is really projected. And there is a certain metabolism of emotion that certainly we should not be caught into it. It should not just be there and we just think people are going to get it. But you also need to come from a poetical and sensibility that is touching you, so it can touch the other people. And I think those two things, they constantly should work in parallel. And I think we have been terrorized somehow in the last years by this notion of cleanness and be careful, expression is a sign of bourgeois expression, and so on and so on. I think that balance is very difficult. Now, people listening who know you and who know me say, don't worry, Rolando, don't worry, Emmanuel, you're always going to be expressive. Don't worry about that. In your case, it's about controlling it and projecting it. But I have seen so many artists thinking they were doing their job just because they were being called. And I think that's not what it is about. And it's a very long conversation, because it should be adapted to the repertoire. It should be adapted to the kind of artist you are. It should be adapted to your own energy, your own neurosis or not, the way your art is there to cure something in you. And that victory is what people want to feel and know about. But I hate when people say, oh my God, you're feeling too much. Well, no. It's not that I'm feeling too much. It's that I'm not organizing those feelings and I'm not projecting them the right way, which is totally different. All this knowledge of these questions, and I love the way you approach it. Obviously, you have verbalized and conceptualized this. How this path you had to really walk as an artist and as a tenor, which is a special category in itself when it comes to those issues. How has that helped you as a director? And when you do, let's say, the day you will do, you have done Werther as a director, but let's say you do Hoffmann, which is a role you have performed, or Tosca, or whatever. How is that going to inform the way you are going to stage Tosca or Hoffmann, and how you're going to relate to your colleagues on stage?
I think one of the things that, or advantages that I can have as a singer is I know what we hate, singers, to be asked from the stage directors. I also know how much of that we hate we should be asked nonetheless, because we don't need to stay in our comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I know also when it is time to let a singer alone and deal with what, I mean, there is a moment where you go, this is it. All the information is there. Now it's for him or her. Whatever happens with that, it's whatever I will get. And now I only can give notes. I cannot, because it's going to be counterproductive if I still try to control and say exactly what I wanted to.
Right.
Use it. What you're saying is exactly, I think, in line with what I believe. You know, all this method that we do during rehearsals and how much this choreography that I'm talking, it's in order for the artist to, once you are on stage, be able not to think of anything else but to feel. And then, as you beautifully said, with who we are, with our neurosis, with our willing to approach, we're etc., then you go for it, but you're in a safe. And that's the process during the stage. The stage director needs to give us, and I need to give them, a complete universe, choreography, directions of movements, so that, in my view, everybody knows what to do exactly what to do at every single moment, every note, every bar.
Right.
If from there they want to move a little bit into this direction to there, it's going to be part of the spontaneity of the moment, and it's going to be beautiful. But if I only tell them vague ideas and I leave people walking around without not knowing what to do, that's when a singer feels lost. And that's when you maybe do too much to compensate, or too little, or you stand. It depends on the person, you know.
Right.
But if you have the right setup and the right universe and and everybody understands the rules, it can be as crazy as you want, the stage direction. But everybody understands. They don't even have to like it, as long as they completely understand, why am I here? Why is my character here? And it needs to make sense to me in the universe. You're telling me that I sing this line. If it doesn't, you will have a singer that is angry with you. And so once you have it, you will have singers that will blossom in these characters, in this story, even though they don't like it.
Right. So that's fascinating. How staging and being a stage director, did that inform the way you are a singer? That means, are you a different singer now that you are a stage director?
Well, I have a lot more understanding for a stage director telling me, you need to wait a little bit because I have not finished this scene. And I need to wait for 1 hour. No, really, I have a lot more of patience in that sense, on the practical day-to-day work.
Right.
And so much understanding of really whatever you need. I'm here to make your ideas work. And if I'm not needed, I'm still here having a coffee and this kind of practical stuff. On the other hand, not very conscious. I think, I really try to leave the singer at home when I'm a stage director. I'm not, if I'm staging Werther, that's my tenor. This is the tenor that is singing Werther. I have nothing to tell him. Whatever I telling him is as a stage director. I don't even mess with technique, or if I have something. This is not a master class of me.
Yeah, but my question is more like, the next time you sing Werther, the fact you have staged Werther, you are going to be a different Werther, aren't you?
Well, it was very funny because my very first production that I staged was Werther in Lyon.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know, a couple of months later, I was singing Werther in Covent Garden.
Right.
And so in a very short period of time, I went from watching the production to being the character. I have to say, it's not difficult for me to also leave the stage director at home. When I'm a singer, I sit down. Of course, maybe I'm more conscious about certain movements, but it's very different to be the eyes of the people than to be inside of the production. You lose sight. Only once I staged and sang in my production. That was Elixir of Love in Baden-Baden. And I only did it because the great Richard Jones told me that's something you should never do. It only takes somebody to tell me you should never do that, and I do it. And now I know that he's right.
I would say yes. You could guess that is right. Even if Elixir, it is a piece of cake for you. I mean, you can't concentrate on both. Actually, I have a few ideas on this. What is it that being a stage director all of a sudden and having to do it, you said, oh shoot, this is not what I expected. I'm not prepared for this. I'm not prepared for that. What are the things that really shocked you and took you off guard and that you had to work very, very quickly?
As a stage director, I'm really extremely well prepared. I come, and sometimes that is a problem because sometimes I should be able to say, no, this idea doesn't, I don't need to tell that much. I don't need to tell people, here, you grab the glass and you drink. I mean, let the thing just flow and then decide some things. But I come from beginning to end, everything is prepared. The practical things. You come, first rehearsal with the chorus, and it's 80 people. It's going to be difficult because the stage, the way we plan it, has not a lot of space. So I spend a whole day, the night before, putting numbers to everybody so that I know where am I going to play, so that it doesn't look a mess, and when everybody's going to move, so that everybody lives in a clean way and comes back in a clean way. So I come ready to explain my thing, and then they tell me, um, there's just one thing. We have some people who are sick. And I say, okay, how many? 28. What? 28. And then in the next rehearsal, I said, are they back? Yes, but now we have 32, other 32 who are sick, which is, it's normal because people need to, they rotate in this system. So, and this was something I was not expecting. And this was hard to deal with. Sometimes, I mean, already deep in the process, people who had never seen, I mean, never rehearsed. And so you have to go back to certain things. I don't know. I mean, a singer who wasn't singing at all, not even marking, nothing. And so that's hard because there's no energy giving to others. And so how do you deal with that? How do you make that singer? How do you control that everybody starts to get a little bit angry and, you know, not very happy about this situation? And yet you are demanding energy and space. And but the person was not well and was sick. So there's also understanding in that. And you know, sometimes difficult decisions to understand that actually this cast was better for this first performance, and you need to make that decision, and that is not nice, but it is, again, you're responsible for the whole of the process. It's not about you as a stage director, it's about them. It's something, you know, the day of the premiere, you're just somebody else there who will come and get the applause or the boos. That's it. You have nothing to control anymore. It's, and in fact, more or less the job with everybody finishes in the piano dress. There's still orchestra, but then it's your time. It's when the conductor, I cannot come and say, give me 20 minutes. No. I have the orchestra. I'm working now.
Yeah. Sure. And sometimes I had to take by the hand, you know, stage directors who were not from the opera world. And I knew that. I learned my lesson. The first day of rehearsal, I said, you know what? These staging rehearsals, they are yours. I will come when you want. You can add what you want. You can rehearse everything. But when the orchestra is there, just stay back there. And if you have to talk to me, do it at the break, because this is going to be, and some of them don't get that message, and you have to enforce that, of course. Which leads to the question, as a tenor or as a stage director, what do you expect from a conductor? What is the thing you want from a conductor?
You know, both as tenor or as a singer or as a stage director, I think it's a triumvirate. I think there's three people in charge of the opera, and that is the conductor, that is the stage director, and there are the people performing. And so, you know, I expect what I love from a conductor, as you say, to be there whenever possible, because there's, you know, I don't want
so many decisions are being taken.
He says, oh, they're way too back, they need to come to the front. I should have known that, because there are ways to, and there are still things, you know, sometimes in a musical, we all realize actually they are way too back, even though we worked enough, but it's just impossible. So you need to adapt. That's fine. I expect a strong vision, you know, I expect that there is, that there is, I mean, the music is the soul of everything, is the story. I mean, the music is the Stanislavski of what we need. I mean, the rhythm, an actor needs to find rhythm, needs to find the voice, needs to find their poses, everything. The music gives to us, to the stage director and to the singer. So what you, and a good conductor, when you come, and the thing, it's like, suddenly the whole thing goes into another level. It feels so good, you know, and I think it's this respect, you know. I, as a stage director, when they tell me which cuts do you want, I say, no, let's ask the musical chief, I mean, the conductor, which cuts do the singers and the conductor want? It's my job to make them happen. I will come from the point of view that I need to do everything. Now, there's operas, we know it, that need cuts, or it's better with cuts.
Inversion, I mean, Hoffman, for instance, you know, you have to decide which Hoffman you want to do. Obviously.
Yeah, but in Hoffman, for example, it's more delicate because we don't have a definitive. That would be really a collaboration between
correct.
the conductor and the stage director to decide where are we going. I mean, which version or which versions or what version are we putting together?
It's funny you say that about, well, no, ask the conductor what he thinks the cut should be, because my first reaction when I get a question about cuts, I say, well, have you talked to the stage director? How does he feel about it? And I think that should be a conversation, but I hear totally what you say. Let's move back to the tenor. So you have sung so many different roles. And, you know, we were just talking about Hoffmann. You are now exploring a lot of Mozart, which I think is fascinating and very, very interesting. Where do you want to go with roles? And how are you going to decide where you go with the roles you feel you want to sing, you can sing, you should sing now, considering all your past as a singer?
I am at a point right now that I want to sing roles that make me extremely happy, and I don't need to sing them over and over and over again. I will sing Tito again. I want to sing Idomeneo.
Yes.
I have sung the last 6 operas of Mozart. I will sing Idomeneo. I am preparing for next year. Next year I will be 50, and I will be performing my 50th role, which is Loge from Rheingold. And so
that's a great idea, actually.
It's a role that ever since I sang Hoffmann for the first time, I mentioned to Graham Clark that I wanted to sing Loge, and he said, "Oh, you have to do it. You have to do it. And when you do it, I need to coach you."
Yeah, that's such a great idea. I would pay to hear you sing Loge. You know.
You don't have to, because I will invite you next year. You can come, and I think it's a role that will stay in my repertoire. You know,
Mima,
I'm doing
Mima.
No, that later.
Later, exactly. And in the Mozart, you have done all the Mozart. So beside Loge, so you would go in this Wagnerian stuff?
Well, really, I thought, you know, Loge was a role that I wanted to do. I've been looking at other roles, but I mean, for now, Loge is
really it's a great idea.
Great. I'm doing Orfeo, and I'm doing Ulisse. I'm doing a lot of Baroque, and I'm doing in Ariodante Lucarnio, and I'm doing Iphigenie and Tauride.
Right. But I'm just thinking something. I mean, you are a dream artist for a composer. Do you have any composer would say, Rolando, you know, let's talk about what are the things that interest you, and I would like to do an opera with you? Because that way you can have the composer work with the voice that you have today and capitalizing on all your amazing vocal and artistic qualities.
I've done it once. I did South Pole in Munich with Rinka. And Thomas Hampson was singing also Amundsen, the other role. It was a great experience. And as you say, it's fantastic to work with the composer, to be able to explore the score and see what is the best for the role, for the line, etc. And there is another idea with Rinka that we are hopefully it will land. And there is another idea of a one-man opera, in fact. Who knows? Maybe.
We
Dallas, because
I was just talking with someone about this morning. Yes, so that could be. But I really think that that's a way to really capitalize on your unique qualities and your unique voice and where it is today. And I think that would be extraordinary. What is it about you Mexican tenors that you are so successful in so many different things? We think, of course, of Plácido, but Ramon Vargas too, and now David Lomelí. I mean, is there a Mexican school of taking every job possible? What is that?
You know, I think it is. There's great voices in Mexico, and the tenor voice is prominent.
And why is that? Is it just the Spanish that you speak there?
I think it's part of the culture, and I think it is a way we speak, but also music has been very important. There is a huge folk tradition. We have the mariachis, we have the rancheras, we have really everybody sings. And yeah, just like, there's great basses in Russia and great baritones
Right.
also. Ukrainian does. I mean, there is a thing about, I don't know what it is, the weather, etc. So the voices tend to be high and
Absolutely.
yeah, and with the harmonics. Now, why these successful stories of tenors? One has to go back to Francisco Araiza, and that's the first great Mexican tenor who goes out and makes it big. And I think he inspired everybody else. Ramon Vargas then goes, if there was a Francisco Araiza, there can be a Ramon Vargas. And he goes out. When I was, trying to find where to go, these young artist programs, I was inspired by the fact that there was Francisco Araiza and Ramon Vargas, and Alfredo Portilla had just made a debut in the Metropolitan. I thought, well, it is possible for us to make a career outside. That is very important. Because I think for a long time, people thought, okay, that's European tradition. We have good voice, but we have nothing to do there. But when you see somebody from your country, from your background, making it big and that big, you dream of also.
You have a right to you have a right to take those positions. They are not blocked to you. And then I would say even the fact that all of a sudden you had to burst that bubble and that glass ceiling makes you even freer then, because you say, well, I just went through, now I'm going to go higher. But my question is also about you guys wanting to be or being, stage director, conductors, and boss of opera houses. You all have this too. So is that part of that mentality where once I am a tenor, I can also take everything around?
No, I don't think so. I mean, to be honest, in my case, the fact that I'm an artistic director of the Festival of Mozart, it's only because of my love and adoration for Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, and because the question came, would you like to be? I've been offered other directions that I said no, because I am an artist and I want to be on stage and I don't want to go into that direction. The reason I'm a stage director, I always worked in a way as a stage director. I assisted, and when I was 17, I wrote a play and I directed this play. And so there was always this, very early in my career, Richard Jones told me, you should be a stage director. 2001 Absolutely. It was.
Yeah.
So it was always there, the possibility. Actually, I said, no, I will never. I will know until 10 years later, I said, okay, I have this project and it has worked to be, I mean, it has also, it has to do that. Fortunately, it was well received and I have been invited back. I don't lobby to be a stage director. I don't knock at places. I'm very happy that I've been invited and I try to do one per season, not more, because of the time consuming, as I say, and because I love to be on stage. I love to do my recitals and I love to do my performances. I love to add new roles. A couple of years it was Peleas and now it's Loge, and then who knows what comes, and then so I don't think it comes. I never thought I was going to do all these things that I'm doing. I'm very happy of doing them, but in one day, I'm most likely.
And we are all very happy you're doing that, and you have, in fact, all those layers that are needed to be a fantastic stage director. So I'm really happy you are a stage director, because I think the business needs personalities like you, and also I love the idea of shifting from one role to the other, and I think that's very rich. Let's imagine for a second that you had not taken that shower at the time you took it, but let's say an hour later, what do you think would have become of you? Do you think you would have still found your way to creativity? And let's say I take that away from you. You are not going to be a writer. You're not going to be a singer. You're not going to be an administrator. What is the profession you would have liked to be? You said philosophy was interesting to you. I mean, what is it that is part of the Rolando that did not develop?
I think a teacher, maybe. I enjoyed very much being a teacher. I was a teacher for 5 years, for 12-year-olds.
What did you teach? Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
History and music, yeah. And they were 12-year-olds, 51 in every class, so only young boys. It was quite, woo, it was a lot of energy, and it was very smelly sometimes.
Yes.
When they came back from recess, open the windows. But it was fun, and it was inspiring. It was, but I always think it was also kind of a performance. I was performing
Sure.
as the teacher, and I was letting them perform because it was very interactive. I wanted them to come. They had to make plays. They had to defend, I don't know, historical persons. But I enjoyed very much being a teacher. So that is something I would have loved. And, combined with, if I had gone to philosophy of psychology, I'm not sure, as much as I love psychology, I'm not sure I would have been happy sitting all that time and listening to the people. And I need to move. And I cannot concentrate that long, for a long period of time. I need to, when I'm writing, it takes 1 hour, 1 hour 10, 1 hour 50, and then gone. I go and start singing, then gone. Then I start planning the new program for the Mozart Woche, gone. Then I just have my coffee, then reading, then whatever. It's like, it's in spans that I work, or preparing the next stage, etc. So, and yes, there are moments where I can be. I remember when I finished my third novel, I was in Menorca, and it took me from the beginning of the day until I saw the next day, the sun coming out, and I was giving the last touches to the end of the novel, and that's amazing. So I can also get into that, but that is not the normal. Can you concentrate for hours and hours and hours on one thing? I guess yes.
It's difficult. Sometimes I'm sure you can when you are preparing an opera and you're preparing the staging. Somehow I'm sure you kind of work a little more intensely. I would say there were studies that say even a genius, cannot be really totally focused on anything more than 1 hour, 15 minutes. That's the kind of attention span. So people who work for hours, very often they don't really work. They just stay at the thing and they go back and forth. But the activities where my brain can stay focused it's when you discover something and you discover something and you discover something and your libido is totally into it, and then I really think you can concentrate. But it's the French poet Paul Valéry who said, I can write many hours a day, but then I have to move from one work to the other. So I rest from one work by working on another work.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm that kind too. But I tried. Now it's difficult because we can so easily multitask. And people who say they are good multitasker, they're usually multi-failure. They do badly everything together. Rolando, I have one question, and it's a very broad question, and I personally don't have the answer, but I want to pick your brain because you have worked in all the continents. You work at so many different capacities. You are someone who is reflecting on what you do and the impact historically and socially of what we do. We are living this COVID crisis as reshuffled the cards of our industry and pushed us into some reforms that maybe we were avoiding for a long time. What do you think is going to be the impact of this pandemic on our industry? And how do you see the future of opera in at least, Europe and in the States and maybe in Mexico? Do you think, like many people are saying, it's a failing art? Do you think, what are the things that are going to save us?
From everything that I've seen, it's not a failing art. On the contrary, I think there is so much to be excited about. Of course, right now it's an incredibly frustrating and difficult time. But as you see, we have found ways to continue doing things, to continue making music together, to continue bringing this. And to be honest, I think it is very encouraging to experience the hunger of the audience, how much they miss the opera, how much they miss the concerts, how much they miss being in the concert hall, being in the theaters, in the opera theaters. I think we've discovered, and we've not discovered, but maybe we've put more energy into streaming, into these instruments that allow us to get into more homes. I always say that we don't need to bring more people into the opera. We need to bring our music to more people out there. And so this is part of what is happening. And this was the time to do this, whoever was able to do it. I also think that we have a responsibility to make clear that art costs a lot of money, and that all this free stuff that is out there, honestly, I think they shouldn't be for free. People should pay something for whatever they are receiving, because nobody gets a coffee for free in a restaurant or a free ride in a taxi, and we shouldn't. In the same way, I think in my view, it's as a principle, we need to make it clear that there's a lot of people earning their lives with it. Not only the artists that we see in the screen, there's a lot of people behind that, from the camera people, directors, to the people on stage, the technicians, the makeup people, etc., etc., etc. I mean, the administration. So this is something to have in mind. I think there's going to be, unfortunately, many ensembles and people, maybe singers, young singers, who suddenly will not develop because their career was stopped in a moment where they were ready to fly. But I think most of them will find a way to come back and fly. Listen, I'm somebody who had a big crash with a cyst in my vocal cord in 2009. And I fought my way for 1 year, and I came back. And you just adapt with the reality. You know, T.S. Eliot verse, having to rejoice upon things to rejoice. You know, having to rejoice about things that one can rejoice. And in fact, it is, I rejoice having to construct things upon which to rejoice. So, and that's, I think, the great lesson of us, our art. We are creative people. And this creativity, art, goes on through this creativity. I think we've seen all sorts of creative ways of bringing music. I've been part of many of these. I had no choice but to use my plan F to put my Mozart week on streaming, because I couldn't have people, and with whatever I had. And, you know, it worked, and it was a success, and I'm hoping for the better days. And so I think the best is yet to come. And I do believe that people are eager to go back to the stage, because if anything, this time has shown us that the real experience, the beauty of it, is to be there, and to be there as part of when the music is being performed, because we as an audience are making this music alive. We are also these loudspeakers. It is vibrating through us. And so that no streaming can give to you. And we want to be, the audience wants to be there. I love that the singers, you know, when you get into a rhythm, or performers, oh, I'm so tired of this. Now everybody's like, oh, please, please give me the stage. Now I know how much I love this. I know how wonderful is this, what I have. And I think there is another energy. There is another love. There is another commitment that we needed. I think there is, I see all these positive things. There is something that we've been shaken, all of us, all the industry, and there's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of things that will change. I don't know if the fees are going to be the same. I don't think so. I think we'll need to adapt. I don't know if the rehearsal time can be the same. I don't know. All of this needs to adapt. The one thing I see is that we are all eager and so excited to go back and to perform for an audience. And this is wonderful.
Right. Well, thank you, Rolando. I think this is a very inspiring conclusion to our conversation. Thank you for all you do. I can't wait to hear your logger. I can't wait to read your next novel. I can't wait to see one of your productions. And thank you for all you have done. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy Paris. Can't wait to see you. You take care.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you for this conversation and for everything you give to the music and to the Dallas Opera, but everywhere else. Those concerts remain in my heart. You are amazing. Thank you.
You are. Thank you so much.